Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AM/PM podcast. My name is Manny Coates, and I will be your host, and this is the show where we discuss all things Amazon private label and how to generate recurring revenue streams 24 hours per day during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the show. Get it? AM/PM podcast. As a matter of fact, I just drank the most disgusting kale smoothie I have ever had, ever. And while I was choking down this nasty thing, I was making money. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hey everybody, Manny Coates here, and I am here with Liron Hirschkorn. Did I get that name right?
Yes.
Finally! How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on.
No, I appreciate it. Well, in case you guys don't know of Liron, he has been marketing online for the last, decade? 10 years or so? Yeah.
Yep.
And over the last couple of years, he's been building up a 7-figure private label brand on Amazon. And Liron also helps teach other sellers how to build successful brands in the Amazon marketplace. Did I get that all right?
Yes.
Perfect. So we're going to drill Liron today. I hope you don't mind. We're going to pick your brain. Hopefully you'll drop some nuggets, and then people will walk away empowered.
Definitely. Sounds good.
Cool. So you said the last 2 years you've been selling on Amazon. You're 7 figures now. How many SKUs or how many ASINs do you have, by the way?
I have around probably like 20 products or so. A lot of them have variations. So I have probably like 150 different SKUs, but kind of like 20 core products.
Okay. How many did you start out with when you first launched?
I launched probably around 2 or 3 products right around the same time. One of them is still running, and the other 2 kind of fell off, which is sort of a good lesson, right? Because, you have to launch more products to find sort of those gold nuggets, those winners, and you're going to have some losers along the way. For sure. I'm going to just put you on the spot. Where are your monthly sales right now on average per month? So last year I did about 1.2. This year I'll, hopefully get to 2 million plus in sales. Okay.
Where do you think your profit margins, where are you going to be at the end of the year? Where are you at monthly right now, typically?
So if you just take a look at just like product profit margins without all the other business expenses, I try to shoot for a minimum profit margin of 30% on a product, and I have products that go anywhere from 30 up to like 55% margins.
Wow.
We'll talk about that. It's also one of the benefits of having more expensive products is that you could definitely get better profit margins. But I would say between 30 and 55, and then after you have all your expenses with your business, you're probably between 15 and 20% margin probably.
All right. When you say all your expenses, a lot of new people don't know what those might be. They're like, well, I pay this and I sell it for this amount. What would be some of those things?
Well, you have sponsored ads. So that's definitely an expense, an advertising marketing cost. You have, if you're doing AMS headline ads, also advertising costs. If you're running any sort of Facebook traffic, any software, right? We all probably have, 5, 6 plus different software tools that we use. So software expenses, if you have a VA, those expenses. So everything that goes really into running your business, any trainings you pay for, masterminds. I recently heard Ben Cummings speak on a Facebook Live, and he said he dedicates 20% of his revenue towards reinvesting in himself and training. So I think that's something that you should definitely budget for. I agree with that.
I agree too. I think it's critical. Are you 100% Amazon right now?
Yeah, pretty much. I do a little bit on eBay, but not all that much, and pretty much 100% on Amazon. I got today. Looks like I got a call from somebody I've been trying to work with to sell into retail, and it looks like they're going to be placing an order. So that'll be my first sort of entrance into selling into retail.
Okay. Are you USA only, or are you global?
USA only. I did set up a VAT and a UK account. Just haven't sent inventory over there yet. I plan to. I'd like to get into UK and Germany, those markets.
Okay. Normally when I start an interview, I'll ask people, how they got into this. So if you could sum up in a sentence or two, why did you decide to get into this business, and where'd you come from?
Sure. Yeah. So when I talk about marketing online, what I did before Amazon was I had a life insurance agency online business. So basically I had a website, I marketed articles, SEO, etc. I got people to come, and then I sold them life insurance over the phone. They got quotes, and that was my lead generation, and I sold them life insurance over the phone. So I always had this, sort of bug with internet marketing, and it was always a hobby, and I was always trying, I probably tried 10 different things, before sort of other than the insurance, that was my main business, but I was playing around with other stuff. I remember going to, Frank Kern seminars and, learning how to build a list and info products and blogging. And I was always trying different things, in terms of online marketing. And I came across a course that taught you how to, basically build a Shopify store and drop ship not from China, but actually from US, like wholesalers, build a business around it. And so I did that in 2014, and it actually went pretty well, but the margins were very thin, so it was hard to really scale up a lot of advertising when the margins were thin. So from there, just in the various Facebook groups, I came across Amazon FBA, and that's kind of how I got into it. And I started off just arbitrage, going to like a discount clearance type store and buying stuff, just selling on Amazon, which, I think for anyone starting out, it's good to do that even for just a month or two to learn, how Amazon works. How do I ship stuff in? What is sales rank? Like all this stuff that, is kind of like the language of Amazon. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a good book title. Right. You kind of learn that a little bit, before you start really maybe getting into private label, where it might take 2 or 3 months till you're able to get a product into Amazon. That really helped me sort of understand how Amazon works, how, buy box, competition, other listings, BSR, etc.
Yeah, it's a fast way of doing it, and a lot of people actually like it. It's kind of exciting to go find those treasures in whatever stores they're going in.
Yes,
I used to do that back in the day. Way back, I'd go with my dad to like garage sales, and we'd find something like, oh my God, we found a record player for 25 cents. And turn around and sell this. So, do you do this business alone right now? Your FBA business?
Pretty much alone. I have a VA, but that's otherwise that's pretty much it. I do outsource, a lot of things where I can in my business. Obviously, I have a bookkeeper, CPA. I don't never touch anything when it comes to the numbers or things like that. I outsource photography. I outsource really, as much as I can in the business, but pretty much myself and a VA, a US based VA that helps me run the business.
How many hours do you work a day, would you say?
I mean, I would say probably maybe 10 hours a day, but it's also, it's first of all, I love this business, right? So I don't know, do you consider like this working? This is fun, right? But it's also like, on an Amazon podcast, I talk to sellers all the time. I love talking to sellers. I love talking about the business. So, I'm hanging out in Facebook groups, both, helping other sellers, learning myself. So you can kind of consider that work, but, it's also fun. So, I think I think that if I really only had to if I didn't teach or help any sellers or anything, just focused on my own business, I could probably do it in 4 hours a day, 3-4 hours a day. I don't think especially with private label, when like you don't touch the products, you can have products from China go directly to Amazon. You don't have as many SKUs as people who buy wholesale or do other business models do, or drop ship and all that stuff. I think you can really do it very well on 20 hours a week.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. That's what I want to get down to. So how much money did you actually start with for your very first Amazon product?
So my first private label product was probably $4,000 or $5,000, something in that range. I wouldn't recommend somebody go, probably more than 10,000, into their first product. I think that's probably even, high. Because you're going to learn, you're going to make mistakes. It's a very good education that you're going to get by launching that product. So don't hold back, pull the trigger, but, don't go. And again, I wouldn't recommend necessarily launching, 5-10 products at once, even if you have the capital, just because you're going to learn from the process, So, if you're somebody that has just a lot of capital sitting on the side, I would still start sort of slow to learn from that, because you're going to make mistakes in the beginning.
Why not launch 5 products? I agree with you, by the way. But if somebody asks you, well, why not start with 5 products instead of 1 as a beginner? What would you say?
Because you're gonna learn, right? You're gonna learn about the various quality issues you can have with suppliers. You're gonna learn about the process of importing, by air versus importing by sea. You're gonna learn about what your expected profit margin is and what your true profit margin is once you start selling and see the advertising spend and the competition and prices. You're going to learn a lot along the way. And so, I think you'll be able to learn from those mistakes, and then maybe product number 2 will be better. You'll learn how to, maybe on your first product, like my first product, I didn't really make any changes, to products. But now when I launch products, I try to, to include things or make design changes or do kind of more unique things. I think I mentioned to you earlier, I just signed a cause marketing campaign with a charitable organization, right? Something I would never even thought of to do with my first product, but now I have like a differentiating factor with my brand that I can use on my listing. We donate 5% to this organization, right, for every purchase, and there's a tie into the product, and things like that you're gonna evolve as a seller, and so go through that process. That journey is worth going through.
Okay, yeah, and you're only going to make that mistake once on one product versus doing it on 5 products. And I think you can also say that, you're multiplying the amount of work you have to do times 5 if you have 5 products. You got to set up your listings. You've got to get your advertising going. It's just, It's a lot to take in, especially in the beginning. You talked about earlier, investing in yourself and your training. Mm-hmm. You're learning like crazy. I'm still learning nonstop, right?
I mean, I have backed up of hours of video content of stuff like to watch, between all the various trainings and things that are out there. I try to, someone once told me, like, be like a sponge, soak up like as much as you can. And yeah, I definitely try to do that. And my philosophy in life is that if you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah. So, if education, especially with Amazon, because it's constantly changing, there are constantly new things going on, that you really need to have that constant education to be ahead of, the competition and what's happening.
All right. So recently, we just had a big thing that rolled out with Amazon, the new enhanced brand content on mobile, right? Why don't you tell the listeners, the viewers, what happened and how this is changing what you're doing in your business because of it?
Absolutely. So basically, Amazon rolled out enhanced brand content, which is if you have brand registry, even the older brand registry, if you have that, you're able to basically add more text and images to your listings, right? Hopefully everybody listening here kind of knows what that looks like. But if you look at, Amazon pages, you'll see ones that don't just have a description on the bottom, they have additional content. And so now on mobile, it's sort of the default now. Ahead of the bullets is that enhanced brand content that's showing up, which means you have, if you have it, you have a great opportunity to convert buyers through, amazing images and text that you can really show, tell more of your brand story, show different images of the product. I think it might be against terms of service, but you could show your other products there, kind of like as part of the brand. I've done it. If you can get away with it, I say, I've had it approved, but recently I wanted to make a change to EBC, and they said, oh, wait a second, you're also promoting other products. So sometimes they'll approve it, sometimes they won't. But the point is that, it's right in front of you now, that EBC content. It's not hidden anymore. Prior to this rollout, you had to actually click into like features and click on something to actually see that content. So a lot of mobile shoppers weren't seeing that enhanced brand content. And, Amazon said that in 2016, over 70% of shoppers for the holidays used mobile, right? So mobile is, especially with Amazon, right? They have that one click, your address, your credit card is stored there. Mobile is really much easier to shop on Amazon than any other platform, any other website. And so, you have the opportunity, if you have that enhanced content, to convert, and get that impulse buyer, right, to see amazing images and click and buy your product. And it's actually a good lesson, right? Because when Amazon rolls something out, you should take advantage of it. Meaning, if you are only now getting around to enhanced brand content, well, good, you should do it, but you should have done it when it first came around, because now when this rollout happens, you don't have to be scrambling to go do it. So what are some of the next things you should be doing? Well, think about video, right? Because maybe by the end of this year or end of first quarter, Amazon will probably allow sellers to add video to their listings. So why not be ahead of the curve and get some video done for your products, so that when that rollout comes out, boom, you have it and your competition doesn't, because they didn't really prepare for it. And this is something Amazon said at the Boost event in New York, hosted by Amazon, is something that their goal was to roll out by the end of the year.
Yeah. My account manager has been telling me this for a while now, for months. I keep asking because he can upload video. And I'm like, well, when are we going to have it? And he goes, it should be coming out any week now, any week. And he's been saying this now for like 2 months. So yeah, maybe it's going to be Q4, maybe next year. But you're absolutely right. Get those videos ready because it's coming. And if somebody asks you later on, say, hey, I'm just starting out. How do I get EBC? What do they need?
Yeah, so in order to get EBC, you need to be brand registered. So if you're just starting out, unfortunately, right now, brand registry requires that you have a registered trademark, which means you need to apply for a trademark for your brand name and then have it actually issued, which is a process. It takes anywhere from like 6 to 9 months. I would say, start with that because you're going to need that to get enhanced brand content. It might change also later on. Amazon, what they also said at that event that they may try to make it easier at some point to get EBC, but you need to have a trademark. That's the most important thing. And then obviously you want to have your logo on your packaging and on your product. It's something else Amazon looks for when you're, to show that you are the brand owner of that product.
Okay. At what point do you start filing for a trademark? If somebody's asking you, they're starting out, they don't know if the product's going to take off, but they can't get EBC without a trademark, and that takes 6 months to a year. What do you do?
Right.
How do you advise them?
So it's a good question. So I think it all depends on a couple of things. One, what is the brand name? Is the brand name very only specific to that product, or is it a more generic name you can use with other products if this product doesn't do well? If it is more generic and you're committed, or if it's, let's say it's Manny's Kitchen Products and you're doing a garlic press, but if that doesn't work, it might not. But if you're doing a garlic press, right? But hey, if that doesn't work, I'm going to do other kitchen products, and you're committed to it, then yeah, you register the brand. If you have something very specific, you might want to wait till that product does well to file for a trademark, or just maybe start out with a more generic type of brand name. And you have to be committed to selling on Amazon, because if that one product doesn't work, you're going to spend $500-600 on a trademark. If you're committed to selling on Amazon, then I think it's worth the expense to register a trademark. Just be smart about the brand name you choose so that you can utilize it for other products also. Yeah,
I agree. One of the things I used to do in the past is I would try to use a brand that had the juiciest keywords. So I'd try to rank, and I don't do that anymore. But that was kind of what I was doing. And what I realized is when I would get those things trademarked, it didn't really help me that much because people can violate that. They put, let's say you have 2 words. If you're called, you're like cool shirts as an example. If they put the word cool on line 1 in the back end keywords and shirts in their bullet points, now they're going to actually show up for your brand name, and there's nothing you can do. They're not violating your trademark. I've had this issue. So I think Tryon and a few other people have always said, and Amazon likes this, if you look at all their brands, they're made up words, right? It'll be something like coolie or something, just something that doesn't make sense. Because if it's a made up word, it's easy to trademark. It's very easy to prove that someone's violating your trademark as well. So guys, if you can, try to come up with something unique. That's my take on it. I know other people might say otherwise, but I prefer that. I don't know what you think, Liron. Yeah, no, I agree. I think coming up with something unique. One of my brand names is a combination of words of my kids' names, for example. Come up with something unique. You can look at those Amazon. If you Google like Amazon fashion private label brands, you'll see like Lilo and Row and whatever. The other day I'm going through in my Amazon account, I see my wife added a dress from that brand, into the shopping cart, and I'm thinking, I wonder if my wife knows that's Amazon's like private label brand. Probably not, because consumers don't know. But you can look. Yeah. Amazon has like 7 private label brands within the fashion. You can kind of look up their names. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Let's say on to the next question here. Somebody's starting out. They've got a product, and it's exactly the same as another product that's on Amazon, right? What would you do to outsell that other product? Yeah, so one, you have to consider if you want to bring a product that's exactly the same, right? So you need to evaluate the competition, right? Are there 5 or 10 sellers of that product, or are there like 5 pages of sellers of that product? You might not want to bring that product in if there's 5 pages. If the competition is if there's essentially more demand than the supply or competition, there's a lot of things that you could do to differentiate yourself. So one, packaging, right? And if they're not showing their packaging and their images, you can make some great gift, if it makes sense for the product, gift looking, nice packaging. That could make a really big difference. Even the way you title your product, right? So, I think including
benefits in your title of your product can, make a big difference. So, there's a million probiotics, right, on the market, supplements, and they're probably all very similar. But if you write, probiotics, for indigestion, right, or if you write something kind of like specific benefit, never have indigestion again, then somebody who's looking for probiotics because they're having that issue is going to click on your listing because they see that benefit that they don't see with the others. Like, oh, that's exactly what I need it for. So you want to kind of include benefits in your title to differentiate. And then ultimately, you do want to look at other things like bundling another product with it. If it makes sense, a good place to look is customers who bought this item also bought. You consider bundling or consider making changes. But if it's exactly the same, I think you want to differentiate it mainly, in your title. You want to have great images. And then if you could do something with the packaging and include an image with your main image of like really nice packaging, that could, that alone could be, to make a difference.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, all of those things are important. I always tell people images, the keywords, everything are super critical. But you mentioned benefits in the title. At what point, if you're running out of space, and you can either put a benefit in there or you can put in some juicier keywords, which one do you choose?
I mean, I like to have both. I think if you can have like a set of like 20 to 30 really important keywords that you have in a listing, and they don't need to be repeated and they don't need to be together necessarily. So you can weave those into the title and bullets. And I think as long as you have one really good benefit in the title, then I would focus the rest on the keywords. But I would want to make sure that I have one really good benefit, because at the end of the day, you're trying to convince sort of two different elements. You're trying to convince Amazon's algorithm that you're relevant for what the customer is looking for, but then you also have to convince the person reading it that they should click on buy your product versus somebody else's product. So I think having those, benefits, I have some products where, I would put things like in the title, like, she will love it. She will love this gift, or, things like that you put in the title. If it's a jewelry item for a woman, her favorite piece of jewelry, I'll put that in the title because you want to kind of create that image into the guy probably that's buying that, that item, or things like the perfect fit, right? If it's something that you have to put on, or, the perfect size, or, adding kind of like benefits and why somebody would want to buy, if it's a kid's item, something like, makes for the best parties, right? If it's like kids balloons or whatever it is. And I think that makes a difference in appealing to the buyer.
Okay, cool. What's a food item that you absolutely hate? Your answers are so perfect and everything. I'm throwing you a curveball here.
Okay, a food item I absolutely hate. I don't like eel.
Eel. Okay.
I can say that I don't like eel. I bought some dulse last week, trying to buy like healthy, food. Have you ever had dulse? It's like a seaweed. It's like a seaweed. Oh. Yeah, go to the health food store like Whole Foods.
No.
Now on Amazon. Yeah, buy some dulse and try it.
Awesome.
It's very good for you. It's seaweed.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. All right, so the questions and answers so far have been fantastic, minus that last one, but that was great. We're at a time of the year now where we're in between holidays. Big sales days for a lot of people just aren't common. What do you do during this time when it's kind of just like a lull to prepare for the big holidays and start to get your keywords to rank?
Yep.
Because a lot of people don't understand that. They wait until like December 1st to start promoting and ranking, right?
Right. Yeah. So the slower, it is, a little bit slower now than it's going to be definitely into September, October, November. It's definitely a good time to try to rank for keywords, because if there's generally less sales overall, then it's going to be easier. If you get 10 sales through a specific keyword, it's going to be easier for you to move up in rank than when your competition is getting 100 sales that day when it's like November 15th, right? Or November 25th or whatever it is. And so now is a great time to sort of sneak up on the competition, right? People are on vacation, they're away, sales are slow. It's a great time to focus on, okay, which keywords do I want to rank for? And then how do I go about doing it? I'm sure if you're in the Illuminati Mastermind, or you've been in any trainings, then you have some knowledge on on how to rank, for keywords and boost your listings through giveaways. And so now's a great time to do that. It's also something I'm doing now too, is I'm going into all my listings and I'm having my VA do keyword research and kind of redo my back-end keywords, just because I still have listings that have, over the 250 characters. It seems like now Amazon has kind of put something out there that the limit is 250 characters on back-end keywords. And so I'm having my VA now go through and kind of, remove the old back-end keywords that I had, where I had, like a couple thousand characters, and redo those. So I'm, doing that, adding more EBC to listings. So this is the time to kind of, optimize, and also a good time to sort of make a move before the holiday season starts. And if you haven't, placed those fourth quarter orders, starting, I think I got an email from my freight forwarder that said, you really, I think October 1st to the 10th is like the deadline on like trying to get stuff, if you don't have orders in and stuff before that, going out of China, then you might not make it in time for like, Black Friday. So you definitely want to get those orders, and, stuff shipping. Ports are going to be backed up and clogged up. And so, right now is when I have, stuff on the water, like on the way to Amazon for the holidays.
Nice. Okay. So you're saying, and we've heard the same thing, that if you don't have your stuff on a boat by the first half of October, there's a good chance you won't make it.
There's a good chance you won't make it. And, if you have to ship by air, it's a lot more expensive, and, you're kind of giving up a lot of margin where you don't need to. So my freight forwarder said October 1st to 10th, they call that the golden week for some reason. But yeah, that's when you really need to have your stuff on a boat by then. And, they said to kind of book stuff with your freight forwarder about 10 days in advance before it's even ready to ship out, because things are going to get really busy. Also, factories are getting much busier. And, if you're placing a $5,000 order and somebody's placing $25,000, guess what? Their order is going to come first.
Yeah, you get bumped.
You're going to get bumped. Yep.
Those are some really good points. A lot of people will think, okay, as long as I get it out by this date, it'll be here by this date, and it gets into Amazon by this date. And that doesn't work, guys. I can tell you from experience, and I know, Leron, you can as well. The ports are going to get backed up. There's going to be delays. Things need to get x-rayed. It's going to hold up your stuff. Then, even by the time it's ready, right, there's going to be shipping delays to Amazon. And when it gets to Amazon, I've had stuff wait for like a month, because they just can't get the stuff into inventory. Not everything. Sometimes things kind of slip in fast, but other times I've heard people in our Facebook group say that their stuff got there like the beginning of November, and then it didn't actually get into Amazon until after the holidays, like in January. Wow. So it's like crazy. Things can get stuck. So yeah, yep. I'm glad you got your stuff on the sea now.
And then a problem I had this year was my first quarter. I was out of stock of a lot of inventory because I put those orders in too late into like December, and they weren't finished till after Chinese New Year. And so that's something you got to think about too, because as that cash comes in, end of November, beginning of December, you should be putting in your orders for, the new year, because if they don't finish it by, February, which is, Chinese New Year, then you're going to have a worse first quarter than what you want to have. So inventory planning is really important.
Product selection. Let's talk about that. This is probably one of the most common questions people have in our group, is like, is this a good product? What product should I get into? And I know you and I have talked, we've hung out at events, and we're both about going where other sellers don't go, right? So it's going to be oversized products, heavy products, super expensive products. So what do you specifically look for in terms of this niche? For example, is pricing more important to you than the product size or the product weight?
Pricing is important, yes. And I think, if you could find a product that's a little bit of a lighter product at a high price, that's, I think, it could be a good area to get into, because, margins are going to be even better than potentially on an oversized item.
What do you consider high price? What would be a high priced item outside the norm?
I don't know. I would say, once you get into like $70, $80, up to, 200, something in that range.
That's selling at that price on Amazon, not your cost.
Selling at that price. So, for example, I have a product. My landed cost is it's a small size. So, my landed cost is 20, and I could sell it for between 60 and 70. Which is pretty good margins because it's not oversized. I have another product that my landed cost is about 20. sells for close to $100. That's oversized. You can make much better margins on those products. So and as much as you could probably say this 100 times, and you're still going to see, if you look at any of the deal sites out there, kind of like the sites that do launches or whatever, and you look on their consumer side, all you see is small, products that cost under like $25, right? $25. So, you can shout this as loud as you want, and people are still going to source those products. Why? Because it seems easy, right? Product you can get shipped by air. It's going to cost you like less than $5. New people just getting started with, a couple thousand on budget. It's easy for them to get in. But, it also may be a mistake because you're sourcing what everybody else is sourcing. And so, I like to go into, something like the Jungle Scout web app and filter for things I don't think anybody else, or I feel like a lot less people are filtering. And so I get different results than other people. So I look at oversized,
Right.
I look at oversized, I look at high price products, I look at categories, industrial and scientific, right? I mean, how many people are launching, right? Look at like kind of like different you are.
I am, for real.
There you go. Yeah. So, which is smart, right? Because you want to go where other places don't. And again, I'm sure Manny and I can shout this from the top of the biggest building. This is still going to be a great area to go into because, a lot of people just don't either have the funds or they're afraid of shipping by boat because their first product and they don't really know how to do it. But once you do it once, it's easy. And so, I would recommend that you look for those areas where, instead of needing to sell, 700, 800 units a month to kind of, have good revenue on a product, you might only need to sell 150 units a month. Mm-hmm. And, you have a product that could do, $10,000 in revenue, which is much easier, right? And those areas are also less competitive. It just takes a little bit more to get it going. And I would also say, go online, go on websites like Pinterest and Etsy and other websites and get design ideas that don't exist on Amazon and make those designs. Yeah. Because you can find a lot of designs for products that are not on Amazon at all.
Those are some really good points. I think what a lot of people fail to see is that you have a ton of new sellers coming in. The majority of sellers are coming in with $5,000 or less to start their business. So right. The mindset is, I need to order a lot of products, right? Because if you have a product where you're sourcing it, and let's just assume that it costs you $100, that's your cost, and it's a $300 product. Nobody's going to get into that. You're going to have, out of 1,000 sellers that are coming in, one person's going to go after that, maybe, right? So the amount of people that are getting into this is much lower. Now, because this product is so expensive, if it's a $300 product, as an example, and I know that's on a very high level, right. But how many reviews is that product going to have? Not a lot, right? Not that many people are buying it. It's not like a fidget spinner that's going to have 12,000 reviews. This is maybe some kind of industrial product, and it has 30 reviews. So for you to get in there, if you can just get just a few reviews, already you're looking more competitive versus trying to get into something where you're selling some kind of oil and somebody's got thousands of reviews. It's another thing.
And think about your PPC costs. Your costs are probably around the same for per click for an item that you might make $4 or $5 a unit, and an item that you're going to make $50 a unit. So you have a lot more room to play. You don't need to be as good at PPC even, right, to make your PPC profitable because you can afford a lot more clicks than without a sale than on other items. So you have advantages in a lot of ways going after higher priced oversized type products.
Yeah. So there you have it, guys. If you're thinking about it, go into whatever tool you're using to find products. Liron mentioned Jungle Scout. Their web app has the ability to source or filter by oversized items, by weights, by reviews, by everything.
So we're on video, and you kind of laughed a little when I said Jungle Scout web app. Do you have a software tool for that, or another recommendation?
No, I mean there's good tools out there. We've always I've said it, I think, from the very beginning of our podcast, that we have like kind of an internal tool that we've used, but Jungle Scout's good. Viral Launch has got a good tool. There's Market Intelligence. Yeah, there's some good tools out there. I have nothing bad to say about any of those things. In fact, I think you should use them all because you're going to find something that one of them doesn't have.
And I like the Viral Launch Market Intelligence, the app. I really like it. I think they are planning on coming out with like a sourcing tool also. And I like the Jungle Scout web app, which is different than the extension for kind of filtering. But I really like the Market Intelligence app, especially one of the things. I mean, it gives you, sales over review ratio, for example, something you can look at to see, a product that only has 50 reviews might be getting 1,000 sales a month, and you can look at those ratios. Their recommendation is, when you look at that column, is anything over 2 is generally pretty good. So for each review, you're getting 2 sales, for example. Anything above that, 1 review to 3 sales, 1 review to 4 sales. Anything above 2 is good. So there's some good metrics there that I really like. I use so I use that. But again, like I said earlier, when we talk about expenses, we all have probably a bunch of different tools we use for different things.
Yeah, perfect. What's your formula to dominate? Just going to ask you straight up.
Yeah, so I like to call it a sort of a triple threat formula, right?
Triple threat. That sounds scary. All right, let's hear it.
To attack. So, I mean, and it's essentially very simple. Like you essentially, a lot of people ask this question. You've probably been asked this question. Should I do sponsored ads for my own brand name, for example? Mm-hmm. And I say, yeah, of course you should, because first of all, other people are going to be doing sponsored ads on your brand name if you have a little bit of traction within your niche, and they're going to show up. And so, what you want to do is you want to take as much real estate up on the page as you can. And it's kind of like. I grew up liking the Knicks, kind of like Patrick Ewing down in the paint, blocking out your competition, elbowing out. That's kind of how I think about the Amazon marketplace, right? You want to bump out the competition, and so, the triple threat means you want to go after the organic ranking. You want to target giveaways or whatever you need to do to kind of rank for keywords. You want to use AMS, and now you could do it through Seller Central headline ads. Although I still like AMS better. So AMS headline ads, you do product display ads, and you do sponsored ads. So, using AMS, using organic ranking, using sponsored ads is kind of the triple threat formula, right? You want to take up as much real estate as possible. I mean, it's, to me, amazing to think that you can be on, immediately when launching a product on page 1, at least with advertising on the world's, best selling platform ever, that's built, Amazon. And so to me, that's kind of how you really go to dominate. And it's good offensive and it's good defensive, right? Maybe you have a product you're not doing sponsored ads on, but suddenly, or headline or anything, it's selling really well, but suddenly you have some competition comes in. Well, you already have sales, you already have profit coming in from that product. You can now utilize that to put up a higher bid, and make the competition have to spend a lot of money in order to get to that top page 1 space, and make it, it's very difficult for them to compete with you and sort of bump them out. And so, I think you need to utilize all these tools that are available to you. I'm happy to break even on sponsored ads all day because, it's just additional space that I'm taking on, additional awareness for my brand. And, I also know that sales velocity, those reviews that I'm getting through sponsored ads and everything else helps me organically.
Yeah. And it's boosting your keyword search rankings as well. Even if you're breaking even, that's what my girlfriend's now. It's funny. We almost everything we've talked about is what she's doing now. She's like, "Hey, I found this product," and I'm like, "No, get something oversized." And she's like, "I'm breaking even on my my advertising." I'm like, "That's good right now. You're just starting. Get some keyword data. Get that ranking on keywords." So, yeah, that's all super valuable information. I want everybody to know that Liron is one of the few guys out there that really knows his stuff. He's not perpetrating here. This guy is selling. He's doing really well, and he teaches people how to do all of this, right? And I actually have probably another 15 awesome questions that I want to ask you, and we don't have time. So what I'd like to do is have you come back on the show at a different time, because I want to find out how you're getting reviews and how you're negotiating with your suppliers, and I got a list of them here.
Great.
But you do have something where people can go hang out with you at a pretty badassical house, I've heard, right? And I'm going to say this. I know what it is, guys. This is not an affiliate promotion. This is not anything where I get anything out of it except for hopefully a cocktail from you when we meet.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to let Liron talk about it because I think it's a really good opportunity for any listeners or viewers. So, why don't you tell them a little bit about what you got going on?
Yep. So we're doing, and with my training partner, Andy Slamans and Nathan Slamans, what we're doing is in October 6th to the 9th, we've rented out a gigantic mansion in Orlando with a pool, private chef. It'll be kind of 5-star accommodations, really nice place. We're going to have, we have probably about 5 spots left total, probably like 15 sellers there. And what we're going to be doing is essentially sessions teaching and from A to Z as far as private label on Amazon. So how to find products, how to rank those products, how to do sponsored ads, how to do copywriting. We're going to do sessions all weekend, essentially teaching, again, everything where it comes to Amazon private label. And then also the benefit of it is that we also, one, it's everyone stays in the same house, so you network with other sellers, really good opportunity. At the last retreat we had 2 sellers that partnered up on a product that actually they sent me pictures they just sent over to Amazon. So you'll form some partnerships and masterminds with other people there. And with that also, we spend one-on-one time also in the evening. People there last night were ordering samples, negotiating with suppliers. We're sitting kind of next to them. We're searching for products together with them, looking at your listings. So there's a lot of good one-on-one time. And then along with that retreat, you get access to our private label and sponsored ads course, as well as a year into our private Facebook group. So we're doing this October 6th to 9th. We have about 5 spots left, and we set up a separate page for your audience only because we wanted to knock off $1,000 off the price of coming. And so it's at amazingfreedom.com/AMPM. You'll be able to go there and get all the information on the retreat. It'll be Orlando, Florida. Everything will be covered. All you have to do is pretty much get there.
That's awesome. So people get $1,000 if they go to that URL? Off the normal price?
Yeah, you get $1,000 off the normal price. You'll get our course, which is a $2,000 course. So you get that. You get our Inner Circle group, which people
Cool.
pay like $100 a month for. So lots of bonuses, and yeah, we wanted to do something again, for your audience. We appreciate you allowing me to come on here and talk about it.
So guys, what did you think about Liron's formula to dominate? Post your comments below. Okay, we want to see them. Liron wants to see them. And by the way, if you're enjoying the video podcast, be sure to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Okay, and also let other sellers know by sharing this video. We'd really appreciate it. That said, thanks everybody, and keep on crushing it.
You've been listening to the AM/PM podcast hosted by Manny Coates. For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.